I will start the meeting in 1 minute. Just let everybody join who wants to attend. So just 1 moment, and we'll get started. All right, let's get started. As I said before, I'm Brad Morse. I'm the program director for the Work Comp Modernization Project, and we're happy to have this answer hour, and thanks for everybody for joining. If this is your first answer hour, welcome, and if you've participated before, I say thank you. Typically, Tom Hansen does run these meetings, and he is on the phone with us right now, but this meeting I will be conducting, and I hope this is a very productive meeting for us. We want to make sure this is interactive. So if anybody has any questions or wants to say anything, you will be asked some questions today, full disclosure. So please type it in the chat and we can record those questions, and we also can record your comments and make this a productive hour, and also make sure everybody's getting the information they need. With me, you'll hear me refer to Angie Andreessen. She is our business analyst for the project, so she's also running the slide deck, and she's helped coordinating some of these answers, so I will defer to her at times. So with that, let's get started. Can we go to the first slide? I don't know if everybody knows, or hopefully they do, because the go live date of the project was 8/31, which was last Monday. And before that date came, there was a decision made by the executive leadership for the project in conjunction with Minutes executive leadership and the governor's office to have a delay in the program launch date, to go from the August 31st date to a November 2nd date, which is a 60-day delay. Next slide. The real reasons for this delay was throughout this program, we have always said that we wanted to listen to our stakeholders and try to make sure we're meeting the stakeholders' needs. And as we were ready to go live with our system, we got a lot of feedback from some industries that they were just not able to go live. And a lot of it was, with a big transition to something like campus for the department, although there's a lot of benefits, it does require some business changes from the stakeholder side. For instance, an insurance carrier reporting everything electronically is now, instead of paper, it changes their process. And we got enough feedback that we wanted to give everybody time to get their systems ready and get their processes ready on their end. We got a lot of feedback from stakeholders that COVID-19 impacts, although they don't directly affect launch of a system like this. What happened is they said they put their IT support behind because the transition to all the remote work, I'm sure we all have dealt with that, really was a tax on the resources. And so it caused them to, have to shift those priorities to get people up and running remotely, and that put behind their build. We got a lot of feedback. People wanted to wanted more exposure to the system. And then if everybody's wondering, how does the 60-day delay come in there? That was because that's a statutory thing. That was the minimum amount we could push it out. We originally were looking at maybe a 30-day delay, get everybody on board, get everybody ready. But 60 days was what was in the statute, so that's when we put it out. But the system from our side is currently built and it's tested, so we're not making many modifications on our end. Next slide. I think the important thing is what does it mean for everybody? For employers, you're key to the work comp system. A lot of people use the insurance carriers or their insurance adjuster, or not adjusters, the insurance agents. They act on behalf of the employers a lot of times, and that's something that we've heard. And campus won't really replace that. Your process with your insurance carrier is going to be the same. Whatever they want you to do or whatever you have worked out with them will always be the same. And then the same with your insurance agent. If you want them to continue to do things for you, they can do that. But for us, we wanted to make sure over the next 60 days, what can we achieve with this extra time? We want to add value, and we want to make sure that everybody, there's concerns that they're heard. And although we may not be able to address everything, but we will make sure we do listen to part of the program. The one thing you're going to notice, you're going to be getting a lot more communications. So you're going to get a lot of lot more of these answer hours where employers can jump on, ask questions. You're going to get more updates, whether it be general or specific to employers, and you're going to get some more surveys as we get closer to go live. And that's going to continue on. We started it 2 weeks ago. Hopefully everybody's getting our communications. We send them out. We send them out in the Gov delivery, and we're going to do weekly communications to everybody. And then also we're going to offer some more of these sessions like this. These sessions are key to us because we want to make sure that this one in particular is to get your feedback. We did a survey. We've talked to people. We had a lot of people contacting us, but we always want to give people the opportunity to engage and give us your feedback of what readiness looks like for you, and so we can work on that. Also, how can we better utilize demos? We want to make sure that we have demos that are targeted and that people understand what these are for. We did get some feedback that sometimes that functionality that we were demoing didn't quite match the audience that we were demoing it for. So we want to make sure we do a better job on that. And then, of course, in the end, retraining. Now, I'll ask the question, did anybody on this call attend any of our trainings? Yes, perfect. Got it. Thank you. So we did have training, and we got some feedback on that, and we'll get more into that. But we do want to do some retraining, and we want to make sure that everybody is those training opportunities are out there, and if we can structure them a little better or focus on targeted groups, we would love to do that. The trainings are now going to be led solely by the DLI staff, who we did, we'll get into it, but we did get some feedback about certain business processes and certain statutory requirements when we had trainers that were not part of the division that couldn't answer that. They could really just demo functionality. So we are going to do DLI-led trainings, and we're going to be available as resources. Next slide. Hopefully everybody did receive our pulse survey that we sent out before go live. We sent it out right before go live, and we will intend to send another one. And this survey, it wasn't exactly eye-opening. We knew some of these challenges are always going to be out there for any type of large, replatforming and big system upgrade and changes. But one of the key things that I haven't talked about, that I haven't spoke about yet, was the the lack of understanding of what support is available for after go live. We rated pretty low in that. And that's something that we do want to address, as we go forward is, we do have tools and resources out there for individuals and organizations after go live, starting with a new help desk that was stood up that we can, people can, communicate to the department. So when you're having issues with campus, you contact in, you can talk to the help desk. The help desk has like any other help desk, there's a tier 1, a tier 2, and tier 3 support for help desks, which just basically means that depending on the question and how and the issue you're having, it may take different individuals to resolve it, but we want to make sure we do have people to resolve it. The other piece of it is, training is something that if you're in the training world, I'm stealing from them that training it starts now, but it's always ongoing. And after you're in the system for a little bit, the retraining and the feedback sessions and things like that is how you really learn to use the system. So we'll continue to have training support, and of course the department is always available for anybody that has a concern or needs help. We will make sure that somebody can help if you're having issues with the system. So I wanted to point that out, that that's something that we could have done better, and we know we're going to do better. So part of our strategy on that communication plan is to really put out there what support we do have for everybody and what support is out there, and make sure that that when this does go live, you're not in it alone, that we're all in this one together. Next slide. All right. So this is how we are going to get ready and get everybody engaged and get everybody for the next 60 days what we're going to do. So you saw the overview, just communication and some, retraining, and then some more interactive stuff. But really, we want to, this meeting's the start of it, and we're going to get to the meat of it. We want to we have these stakeholder sessions set up for every one of our stakeholder groups, and we wanted to identify and get feedback on what we can do to help with your readiness. We can't always, like I said, sometimes we can't do it, sometimes we can, but we definitely want to get it. We want to build a plan, and we want to make sure that going forward that we have some metrics and some targets of milestones of where to hit, so we can ensure that everybody's ready. We've realized after doing a few of these that some of the themes are the same, but some of them are different depending on the group. That's the thing about work comp, is everybody's role is really key. But depending on how much or how little you actually interact with the department, it really depends on what information and what you need to be successful. You're an employer. If you're a large self-insured employer, for instance, you might be on this call, you may have a giant risk management practice that is going to be interacting with campus all the time. And you may have a TPA that you want to get reports and you want to do things like that. Well, that's something we need to know. But if you're just a smaller employer and you just want to know what's out there and what is being used by the insurance industry, that's also very helpful to know, because we don't want to waste anybody's time, and we want to make sure that when you do come to the trainings that you're getting what you need out of them. And if we need to tailor the trainings or do different demos, that's something we definitely want to do. We heard a lot about specific functionality. For instance, the legal community said, I want to know how to request a file from the basement. Okay, so if everybody knows, that's a very specific thing that happens at the department. So we want to do a demo where we can show everybody, if you need to get access to a paper file in the basement, you can do it through campus, and we'll show you how to do it. We'll have a short demo. Everybody will see the functionality, and then you can continue to use it that way. We will continue to have answer hours on a much more frequent basis. So you're going to get a lot of these. We encourage you to send it out to others in your community, especially employers. We get good participation, but we're always willing to take more feedback, and especially from the employer community, because the employer community, like I said, it's major stakeholder, one of the major stakeholders in workers' compensation is the employer, and sometimes your voice gets drowned out by some of the other stakeholders that are actually there to solely support you. So we want to make sure we hear what the employers need and what we can do to make things better. Next slide. We've revamped our change leaders for our stakeholder groups for you employers, and nothing has changed. Tom Hansen is still your change leader, but he's the one who's going to be tasked with doing the communications weekly, and also when we get these lists of what we need to do to build a readiness strategy, he's the one that's going to be executing on that for you. So you're going to get a lot of information from Tom, but if you also like I said, if you're also like self-insured or you have a TPA, yeah, there's an insurer group, there's rehab providers, law firms. So we have all of our stakeholder groups there. We at the department, these are the face of the groups, and these are the people that are going to be out there with training and helping. But there's a lot of support behind them. Of course, myself and Angie will always be around to ensure that that Tom is supported and the information is getting out to you that is relevant. But we'll make sure Tom is set up for success there. But if you do have any particular questions, just reach out to Tom, and he will. He's always good at getting back with you, even if he doesn't know the answer right away. He will seek it out and he will find it. Next one. Okay, this is the fun part of the meeting. I know you've sat there, you've listened to me for 20 minutes. It's been thoroughly invigorating, I'm sure. But now I get to ask you questions. And these are questions based on the three themes of the survey we heard and what we need to do to be to ensure that you are ready for this system change. So you can see the questions on there. I'm going to ask them, and I will pause, and you can type in the chat. So if you see one you already know, throw it in the chat. Angie monitors the chat, and she'll be able to give it. But if you have questions, to clarify or anything, this is a conversation. I want to have a conversation, and I want to make sure that we're successful for this next go live. So first thing, and this is a big one, is what type of support does your organization need to transition into campus? You think about your organization. What do you need? Part of that might be the second question. Do you understand what the changes are? Okay, we had somebody comment on there. Angie, do you want to read that?
Sure. It looks like maybe just including IT support in some of these meetings. I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly, but I think it's maybe referring to including IT support in some of these meetings.
Okay. Oh, that's good. So is it just a question of just having our technical resources available to answer questions if there's something that is needed, something like that?
Yeah, so the exact comment was just a person that can be part of our group, our IT, our vendor IT. So I'm not sure if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Tammy. I'm guessing just making sure that you can include IT resources in these meetings, and then we have IT resources available as well. Is that correct? All right, got it. So just making sure that the IT people are aware and are hearing things that we're saying about campus.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's part of the communication, and I agree. And there's things we definitely can do there. Let's take that down, and we can build out some plans on things like that. Like I said, every organization needs a different level. So if it comes right down to needing somebody to answer some very technical questions from the EDI standard or something, we should do that. This is a I like this question because I wrote it, so that's why I like it. But what support does your organization need to adopt new business processes? And I'm thinking back to we're paper based, so if you think about how paper moves through your current system, is there any support we can give you or any information you need on how to take that and adopt it to a new business process? And then this last one is something that is going to be really important. Is are there any specific tasks or measurements that we need to include in your business readiness plan? So, for instance, if you're working with a software vendor for your if you say you have an in-house claims management system and you're working with a software vendor, is there is there something we can we don't want to obviously project manage you, but is there just something we need to we need to have you information by these dates to help you so you can rebuild out your system, or this is like I said, do we need to have meetings set up to do things like
All right. And we had a really quick question. Um, we have a TPA that handles claims and would like to request a quick overview of changes that would affect this. So I think if I'm understanding that correctly, just a little bit of an overview of how um, things may change for TPAs or how they may be getting that information to the state.
that? Yeah, and I think that goes right to that, and understanding of the changes from the current to future state. That's a great question you have there, because I think that it is unclear. So first off, I want to answer the question, but then I think there's something we can take an action item down to do some communications on. So for any of you that use a TPA, the way the TPA submits information to the department is going to be different. It's going to be all electronic. So that means that they are going to be required to have their system modified to send files to the state of Minnesota based on a national standard. So where we have forms now, they're going to be EDI transactions. So you're going to hear EDI a lot, and so your TPA is responsible to do that. So where the changes happen from you to the TPA really depends on what information the TPA needs to meet that standard. And this is something where we probably need to sit down with everybody in the TPAs, or we would definitely want to have a call so we can ensure what information is needed. But really, that's it. I mean, I know, for instance, my friend who's an employer, they report their first reports of injuries uh, through the web, and they just send it to their insurance carrier. Well, their insurance carrier then takes that information and then they add their stuff, they process it, they start looking at compensability and all that stuff, and they send it to the state. So for them, their process doesn't change. They just fill it out, they send it to the state. But if the TPA needs more stuff, especially when you get to your subsequent reports, more information around some of the dates and things, they need to store those now instead of just having it on a form. They may be requesting it to you from a different format. So that's the biggest thing from a TPA to an employer. Other than that, work comp is work comp. I mean, the other piece, the other main piece is with the department, we're now going to be e-filing for medical requests and rehab requests. So if you handle your own and you don't use counsel, or you have in-house counsel, they're going to have to go online and file the responses for those requests. So those are the two main differences. But Angie, maybe we and Tom, we can get together and kind of put together something on the changes for employers that use either TPA insurance carriers or they have an insurance agent that acts for them. That's a good action item.
Yep, and it looks like that's just our next comment was just asking if we could possibly create some documents, reference guides for future processes like that. So we
Yeah.
can definitely take that away.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway. And I, these conversations are always ongoing. We always want to make sure that we're meeting the needs. So we, after this meeting, if you think of something, just we were going to have an email at the end. Just send us an email of the question or whatever you thought of, and we can always incorporate it. But we have, we wanted, our goal of this is to build a communication and change strategy off this information so we can get it out and get it approved by our executives this week. So just so you know, we always will take the feedback. So I'm going to go to the next slide. But like I said, if you want to come back to this, if you have more questions, this is the dialogue we want to have. So it's the next slide. Okay, this is about retraining. We got a lot of feedback on training, during training, after training, and from these groups. So I think the first thing is we know that there's a request for a lot of people to just get into campus and use campus before go live. And right now there's some security challenges and there's some things that we just don't know if we're going to be able to facilitate that request. But what we do know is we can do targeted demos on functionality that people want to see. What functionality do you want? So first off, can we use some of those targeted demos? Would it help this group if we have a different style of demo? If we just have a quick, in our next answer hour, we do 3 quick demos of functionality that maybe you want to see. Then the next question, I think the process-related questions of your the stakeholders in your industry. I think that's what process-related questions do you have? I think you just touched on that with the last comment. Is knowing what campus is and what it isn't, and also knowing how the interactions between employers and their TPAs and carriers and vendors and all that good stuff is probably something we need to spell out. So we already have an action item there, but please elaborate if you have anything else you want.
We just had a question just about if more staff can be part of demos. So for demos, anybody is welcome to join. I think you may be referring to some of the testing that we did, and that I think that's just a little bit limited because of the security challenges, obviously, with a new system, or a system that's not yet live. But if you want other people from your organization to be part of the demos, you can certainly forward them these meetings, and we'll also record them and make them available for future reference.
The next question we have is, what policy-related questions do you have as a stakeholder from your industry? This is important because we want to make sure that when we're messaging things correctly, but also when we're doing the demos, that we have the appropriate staff from the department in there. If you have a lot of questions regarding compliance or something, we want to make sure we have compliance staff on hand to answer questions, or also, have an avenue to get those questions answered. So, please, do you have any current policy questions for the department? And what other opportunities will help your organization be ready for future states? So now is there anything else we can be doing better that would help during the training that would help you be ready for the go live? All right, want to go to the next slide? All right. I think this is one we definitely can talk about. What type of activities and communications do you guys find the most effective? I'm actually going to two-part that, and I do want to know how we can be better, because it's not just the communications; it's how do we get to maybe your staff or employees that how do we get people to sign up for these communications that we can get out there? Because we did get a lot of responses from certain industries that they didn't even know campus was going live, and I think we've done a pretty good job over the past 2 years talking about it. But how do we get to line level staff and make them understand what's coming out, or is it just send it to who we send it to, and hopefully the managers distribute it?
My apologies. I was trying to come off mute there and I accidentally unshared my screen. We had just a comment in the chat. It would be great to have meetings like these, but also have some pre-recorded options that are specific to tasks. So if you guys have ideas on any specific task you'd like us to record some reference videos on, that would be great. Some additional written materials explaining what is expected and the steps we need to take. There are emails, but you don't really understand what's happening.
Okay. Um, Maybe because I think we touched on the next one, but helping you feel engaged and supported over the next 2 months throughout this. But feel free to answer that if there's any additional activities. I think we've got some good information from you so far, and we appreciate that. But what type of support is expected for your organization for Go Live? What do we need to do to get you supported for Go Live? And then I think we have the final question. What support do you think you're going to need for after Go Live? As an employer, what additional support do you need? And is it just really laying out our pre Go Live, our post Go Live strategy, and you just have that, or do you need anything specific for after Go Live?
All right. There is just a comment, a go-to person from DLI to be part of our team to implement these changes and make sure we're ready for Go Live. So I'm assuming that just might be a little bit more one-on-one support.
Okay, anything else? We can go to the next slide, which is okay. So next steps, just so you know, we're gonna build a business readiness plan, and then we're gonna follow up with it. You'll probably see some of that in your weekly communications, and then we will set up a stakeholder engagement calendar. This first off starts with more of the answer hours and demos that we're gonna do, and then also we will get the retraining schedule out there for everybody. And that's what we're gonna do next. And you know, like I said, this is really important. Thank you everybody for attending this meeting and attending all the meetings you have. You've been a big help, and you have always been a champion for the program, and we appreciate it. So if you think of anything else that we can do, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll make sure that we're able to help you out. And if we're not able to accommodate every request, and there's, you know, we know that happens, but we will communicate it, but we'll also try to look at some other options that we can do for you. And I believe that is our final slide. Yep. So like I said, reach out, send us an email. We'll be glad to answer any questions. We'll build out this engagement calendar, and we'll get some information out to you on Friday on what's going on. If anybody does have specific demo scenarios that you want to talk about or look at, we would be glad to you know, take those in and start working on them. So we do know, you know, when we do have these answer hours, we can do some of those targeted demos, and we do record all these meetings, so we'll have a recording available for everybody. If you want, like when those demos come out, if somebody can't attend, we can always direct them to the recording so they can just see it. And with that, I say thank you, unless there's anything else.
I don't see anything else in the chat, so I think we are good to go.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Like I said, reach out to us if you need anything, and you know, we're excited for November 2nd, so I appreciate it.